What is it? When you hear a class with 101, what do you think about it?
Basic.
Yeah, basics, introduction, right? Now, Fast and Learn is the motivational lecture where you get really hype or like you feel rejuvenated. Like, okay, I really like this. I feel like, like a khutbah on Friday. Islam 101 can be that, but its bigger purpose is for you to make you more increase your knowledge, increase your information about Islam, right? So it's supposed to be a class, and that's what we've made it. Today we're not going to have the class, meaning when there is a class, there will be slides up there. We're going to go through PowerPoints, and it won't be as boring as it seems like. A few things may be boring here and there, but I do my best to keep it engaged as much as possible, and I try to keep it practical because it's important for us to know how to conduct ourselves throughout the day as a Muslim, right? So this is the first question to ask. Why do I need Islam 101? Do I need Islam 101? So the first thing we're thinking is, I'm in the soccer league for Iona, and I need Mu'mineen points, and I need to play, so I'm going to come to Islam 101. That's fine. And as a Muslim, we can have more than one intention towards something. For example, that can be my intention, and then at one point, I can say that, you know what, I really like Islam 101, and I want to know more about Islam, right? So right now, I'm going to come to the program to fulfill that intention. And you can actually have both of those intentions at the same time, and you'll get rewarded for both of those intentions. You're not having a conflict of interest. Don't think about it like that, okay? So when it comes to us and having intentions, we can have multiple intentions towards something that's good, so long as the intentions are good. So right now, we might not all be here for the right reason, quote unquote, but we can get there. The idea is for us, honestly, to come to Islam 101 for one thing and one thing only, which relates to everything and anything we do in life, from sleeping to waking up, which is basically to collect to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is to get a strong relationship to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? Now, how do you get a strong relationship to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Today is the intro day. I covered this with Basketball League last week, and they didn't have Islam 101 today. So after today, you guys will be on the same pace, inshallah. And we're going to keep moving forward. So how do I get to know how to connect to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Like if, for example, you come to a class in university or high school, right? Let's take university. What does the teacher usually give you on the first day? A syllabus, right? And in that syllabus, you get all these instructions, and you say, you will be graded like this, 10% on quizzes, 70% on examinations, right? And then so on and so on. And then you're like, your attendance counts, this counts, that counts, right? And that's how you ace the class, by following that syllabus all throughout, right? We're familiar with this concept, because we've all gone through it. Now, in Islam, do we have a syllabus? If so, how can we understand how to follow that syllabus correctly, right? Do you have a question? Okay, it's fine. If you have questions, feel free to ask me. That's fine. This is supposed to be an informal lecture all throughout, right? This is something you guys have an advantage of. Think about it, because most communities will not have this advantage where you have a gathering with a bunch of guys and you can ask questions. For example, in the summer when we had football league, right? People were asking me all kinds of questions. People were asking me about relations with their spouse, right? Because there was a married guy in the crowd, and he was asking me, what if I do this and this and this? How do I do my salah after this and this and this? We'll cover anything and everything that we can cover, inshallah, right? Any answers I don't know, I'll go to the Imam, and I'll go to Sheikh Mufti Wahab or Imam Mustafa, and I'll get the answers from them, and I'll convey that to you. I'm not going to know all the answers, but the idea is for us to ask the right questions, and then we can get the right answers. Right? So, and if I'm wrong on something, inshallah, I'll correct it, and you can correct me as well. So for us to have that syllabus, we have to go through it properly, or else we can't really follow it. If you come in, and let's say on that syllabus, it says December 17th is your final exam, but you never read that. You never opened your syllabus, and you sleep in on December 17th, and you missed your final exam, you'll most likely fail the class or do terribly in the class. Probably get a D or an F, because you missed the final exam, and that was, let's say, 60% of your grade, or 50% of your grade, or 40% of your grade, right? So what about in Islam? Do we miss something of great opportunity? Do we miss something of great reward without knowing it? That can happen, right? Let's consider something before we go into it, because like I said, today's talk is all about us understanding why we need Islam 101. Why Islam 101 is beneficial for us, right? Knowing these jurisprudence. Now, what is jurisprudence? Islamic rules, Islamic laws, right? The basics. It's important for us to carry out our lives, because if we're doing something that we think is right and we keep doing it every single day, then we've been doing something wrong every single day. For example, take this into consideration. There are people in the masjid, right? Our elders, let's say. There are elders in our masjid who are praying with us every single day, maybe first line. Okay? There might be one or two elder, if you were to ask them, what are the obligatory actions of a ghusl, of a shower in Islam, they might not know the answer to. Now, why is that a problem? Well, if this is an elder in the community, and he's been praying all this time, and he has kids, right? To have kids, you have relations with your spouse, right? By definition, you become najis, meaning you become impure. Now, Islamically, you are impure. To become pure from impure, you have to take an Islamic shower, an Islamic ghusl. Now do we see the problem that if the elder who has kids never knew what it means to become Islamically pure, and if you're not Islamically pure, you cannot pray or worship, then all his life, though he's been in the front row praying all throughout the time, he's never been really pure. You can take many showers, right? That's a shower. I'm not talking about Islamic, the term is ghusl. But if you don't take the Islamic ghusl, you're not pure. That's important. Now consider this. Now it becomes a bigger picture. That elder might not know it, and he's been doing it wrong the entire time. But does that mean he taught his kids that too? His kids might not know it either. And now his kids are married off, right? And this cycle continues and no one is pure. Now we have to figure out, okay, am I impure or am I pure, right? How do I become pure? All of these things. And the first topic we'll cover, it'll be, I have it in 2 sets of presentations, which will be purity itself in Islam. And then we'll go to prayer, right? All our lives as we grow up and we're raised, we're told prayer is important. Pray, 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 pray. And it is 100% important. But prayer doesn't really amount to much if you're not pure while you're praying. You guys see what I mean? Because if you're not pure, where's all that praying? What's all that praying for? Right? It doesn't really make sense. Similarly, we have to understand, okay, what does make sense? So for us, we have to make sure I know how to pray. But before that, I know I have my prerequisites done. Just like how you go to university and you go through your classes, you get the prereqs done, and then you're like, oh, that's how you can use that prereq, because I learned it in that class, and now it applies here. Well, similarly in Islam, you have to have your prerequisites done. And the prerequisites, and there are prerequisites of prayer, which we'll cover when we go to prayer. There are 6 prerequisites. You have to be, and one of them is being pure. Right? Now, Islamically pure. I'll give a quick explanation of the ghusl right now, because I feel like it's important for people to know about it. But there will be an entire topic on it. We'll cover it on the slides. Islamic ghusl means, maybe some of us already do it, maybe some of us do it without knowing. But first you have to have the intention that you want to become pure. Then you hop in the shower. Now when you're in the shower, what you have to do is you have to maintain 3 things. The 3 things must happen in that shower. 1, water has to reach everywhere where your hair is, meaning all over your body. So water reaches all over your body. We usually get that part done, right? Second part, you have to rinse out your nose. And third part, you have to gargle. It's very simple. Islam is not hard. It's very easy to become pure in Islam, right? But you can imagine someone taking a shower every single day and never gargling in the shower, right? He's never becoming pure. You understand what I mean? So it's important for us to know what's pure and how can we get that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made everything easy for us, right? And for us, we have to take advantage of the fact that, okay, we have all these resources, we have all these people, we have this community. How do I take benefit? What's the point? What's the point of me doing what I'm doing if I don't know why I'm doing it? You know what I mean? We have to know what we're doing. So for Islam 101, think about it like this. Let's say you have a question, right? When we're raised, we feel shy asking our parents questions, right? We feel shy asking the imam questions. Like it brings us shyness, right? Sometimes we don't want to confront that, right? But how do we have these answers to begin with? Let's think about it like that. Now, we know there are answers, but we're too afraid or shy to ask at times. How did these answers come about? There was a time that the companions of the Prophet, peace be upon him, asked him these questions. Now, tell me this. We were raised by our parents, and they're our authority, and we follow their rulings as we're grown, and as we're raised, right? So we have that shyness. It makes sense. Authority figure, you kind of get shy, right? When a cop pulls you over, you kind of get timid, right? This is the Prophet of God. Don't you think the companions were shy and timid asking him a question? Like, man, what is he going to think of me? But they still asked him a question. Now, how did that happen? Does that mean they were not shy? What does that really mean? The companions of the Prophet were still shy. They still had their humility. But the thing is, the love they had for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala trumped that love, the shyness they had. Meaning, they were shy about the Prophet. They were shy about asking these questions. Prophet, how do I use the bathroom? What do I do after I'm finished using the bathroom? Those are questions that can be kind of intimidating to ask. But they're like, you know what? I need to get Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to like me. I need to do what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants me to do. So that love they had for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to please Him overcame the shyness they had towards Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Right? As a Muslim, we shouldn't have humility. We should be shy. We should be modest. These things are automatically within us. Allah puts it in us, in babies to everything. If you look at little kids, they don't like some things because it brings them disgust. They question these things. Right? If you take a kid to the mall, let's say, they'll question you. They'll say, why is that person not wearing clothes? I'm talking about people that I actually know that has done this, the little kids that do this, right? Because they're confused, because Allah puts in their fitrah, their innate ability to just think and question these things, because it's not right in Islam. They're pure to begin with. Children are pure to begin with, which is why they ask these questions. So for us, we've gone out of that phase, so we have to understand what is pure, what is not pure, what should we ask, why should we ask it, and where does the love lie for us, right? And going on top of that, because this is an intro class today, keep in mind, right? No information is being presented. For us, the love, this specific love that I'm talking about, for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, let's not talk about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala right now. Okay, we'll come back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala later. Let's talk about the Prophet, peace be upon him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? Now, how do you love the Prophet? That's really hard to wrap your mind around. Like, you're telling me to love someone I've never met before, right? Yes, I know the importance of him, right? And we all say, we love the Prophet, we love the Prophet, we love the Prophet. Do you really love the Prophet? Do you really feel that sense of love in your heart? That's a different topic on its own. When you say you love somebody, like if I say I love my mom, I can feel it when I say I love my mom, right? Because as soon as I see my mom, let's say, being sad or being hurt or something, you'll automatically feel that attachment, like this is affecting me, right? Do we ever, actually, let's ask this, do we even consider anything that would make the Prophet disappointed? Does it ever come to us that, would this disappoint the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? So that's kind of hard for us, right? So you can imagine how hard it would be for him to love us. Imagine if I told you all that we were all fathers in this room, and we all had a child in our hand today. Meaning, we all had a child today. His name is Abdullah, right? And we were all holding our own son. How much love would you have towards your son if he was in your hands right now? If you were to look at him, wouldn't you have a lot of love and passion for him and compassion for him, right? You'd feel like this is my son, right? You'd have so much emotion towards that. A newborn, your son, your first kid, let's say, right? Now, what if I were to tell you, erase that, and let's say all of us will have Abdullah, a baby, 5 years from now, and he will be in your hands, and you will look at Abdullah, and you will feel so much love in your hand, so much love in your heart. Do you see how there's a whole different experience going on in your head right now? Because you're thinking, okay, if I'm going to see him 5 years from now, you can't really build that amount of love in your heart, right? Because you haven't seen Abdullah. If the baby was in your hands, it's so easy to love him, right? It's so easy to love the baby that's in front of you, that's right there. As humans, we have this impatience within us that wants us to always get whatever's there. We want it immediately, right? So how do I love, do you really love Abdullah? Well, I don't know. Can you love Abdullah if he came 5 years from now, but you were to love him the same right now? No. It would be very difficult for us to love a child who hasn't even come here. So let's think about the Prophet ﷺ. This was a man who used to cry profusely and continuously, all throughout. For who? When the companions came and asked him, what are you concerned about? We are your brothers. And he said, no, you are not my brothers. My brothers are the ones who are going to come afterwards. He was talking about us. He was crying for us and we weren't even there. He was concerned for us and he hadn't even seen us. He doesn't know our names. I gave the name Abdullah. He doesn't know your name. He didn't know your name. He doesn't know all of our lives, all of our livelihoods, if we're Muslim, if we're non-Muslim. But he was concerned overall for the people who are to come. He was concerned for all of us. That's the amount of love he had. The amount of love we cannot have for our imaginary child, were we to have one, 5 years from now, is so small to the amount of love he had for us who came centuries later. We came centuries later and he still had love for us. Now, take that into perspective. This was the man, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who loved us so much. Why? What would make him so concerned for us? What would make us so concerned? So let me come from a different perspective that might resonate with you all in terms of, a lot of us are immigrants here, right? Even if you're not an immigrant, a lot of us have parents who worked really hard to provide for us a good future. So what do we end up doing? We work hard too to provide our kids a better future. Now, why is it that? Why is it that I say, my parents worked really hard to give me a good future, so this is a good future by definition. Why don't I give my kid the same exact future? No, because I see the flaws within this future and I want to give my kid even a better future, right? We all understand where I'm coming from. So our parents have, let's say back home, have gone through a lot of stuff. They've gone through education that's not the best education. So they want to give us a better education. We go through education here in public school. We're like, I want to put my son through private school, right? And it goes up and up. We go to Ann Arbor, like, now I want to put my kid through Ivy League. It jumps up and up, up and up, up and up, right? Why is it that? It's because we've been through it. We've seen it. We've seen the flaws. We've seen the deficiencies. We've seen the losses of that. Now, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in Isra al-Mi'raj, he's seen heaven. He's been through it. He's seen hell. He's seen it. He knows how bad it is. He's seen it with his eyes. Because he's seen how bad it is. Similarly, as us on the small analogy of seeing how bad a public education might be towards a private education, he's seen heaven and hell and the complete difference. And from noticing this difference, he sees the urgency it is for his ummah, for his community, for his Muslim brothers and sisters to make it to heaven. Do we understand why he has this concern? Because he's been through it. He's seen it. And you know what? Let me tell you this. Now, it might be hard for us to be concerned for our brother, meaning like for our teammate here, than it is for our brother or sister, like our personal brother, like blood brother or sister, right? Sometimes if people were to say something like, your kid did this wrong, or your brother did this, or your sister did this, you will get offended. Before you start questioning your own family member, you will start defending them. And it might be the case that your family member is in the wrong. In any situation, we have to be very just and very fair and ask the correct questions. What really happened? Who's really at fault? But we never do that. We get emotional and we say, what are you talking about? That's not my brother, that's not my sister, that's not my son, that's not my daughter. My dad wouldn't do that. Right? We have this self-defense mechanism that just comes out of us. So that's the emotion we have attached. That's the concern we have. Versus if it was somebody we see on the news, then we're like, well, I don't know if this court case is really fair. Well, we have to look at both evidences. And we become very rational. We become very rational, right? That's how we are towards our teammates or anyone else, any Muslim we see outside. But Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he is with us like how we are with our blood siblings. He had that much concern. That's the concern he had. That's the concern we need to have for one another among this room. That, man, let's say I'm doing okay in my deen, right? Let's say I'm improving in my deen. Should I be concerned about the guy sitting next to me on my right side? Is he doing good in his deen? Like, don't we want to go there together? And the thing is, it would hurt so much. And it's hard to wrap your mind around it right now, maybe. Maybe some of you can wrap it around. But it would hurt. Think about it like this. Wouldn't it hurt so much to see your mother go to hell and you go to heaven? At that point, just to thought about it, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala raise our parents in ranks and give the Jannah for those. But we have to think about it. How would that look for us? If our own mother were to be separated from us on the Day of Judgment, and she goes one way and we were to go another way. And all our lives, this is the woman that's been raising us. She's the reason I'm going to heaven. Yet she's going to hell. What's going on? Was it because I wasn't concerned for her? Was it because I had all the information about deen and I was practicing it, but I never took it back to let her know? Or my wife know? And now my sister is ignorant, my brother is ignorant, my wife is ignorant, my mother and father are ignorant, but I know what I'm doing, I'm good. Is that how deen is? Deen isn't like that. Similarly, like how you are with your mother or your father, you need to be like that with everybody. All the Muslims. And that's a big picture. It's hard to jump into that. We're not going to jump into that. But I'm saying, keep that in the back of your head somewhere. Because that's the big picture. The big picture is for us to be concerned for everybody in the community. For us to make an impact in the community. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, for us, we start working, we start going to college at 18, 19, sometimes 16, becoming doctor, engineer, start doing all these big things by the age of 30. By the age of 30, everyone's like, okay, I'm settled, boom, right? We're thinking we're doing such great things. Prophethood wasn't even given to him until the age of 40. Until the age of 40. And then he made big strides within 23 years. 23 years, he did everything. Started at the age of 40. So think about it like this. Don't we have an advantage? Shouldn't we be making more of an impact if we're starting at 18, 19, 16, 17? If we're already settled by 30, let's say? How much impact do we make after that point? Or how much impact are we planning on making after that point? Or do we not want to make any impact? That's another question too. Now you come to Islam 101, you get information, you learn more. What do you do with that information? You implement it, you practice it, you teach it, you tell other people, you help them implement it. Right? But if we're not doing that, what do we really want? Because sometimes, maybe it's something, maybe we don't want anything. Maybe all we want to do is just live our life in ease. And just focus on who we are. And that's okay. You can do that. But at one point, the bigger picture, what's ideal is what we should be striving towards. What's ideal is what we should be striving towards. What's ideal is making sure all of us go to heaven together. What's ideal is making sure your mother is not separated from you. Nor is your child, nor is your brother or your sister, nor is your teammate that you're playing soccer with later on tonight. Or nor is your opponent who you're going to be facing this tonight. All of these things, keep that into consideration, because the knowledge we gain in Islam is just step one. Once you have the knowledge, then you have to do something with it. You got to make an impact, right? People become doctors. I want to make an impact by saving lives. That's good, right? That's good. You keep the life saving. But what about the spiritual life? There's a physical life. What about the spiritual life? How do you keep that going? How do you keep that going? How do you help your own spiritual life? How do you help other people's spiritual life? Right? If we don't have a community mindset in our head, it's something that we should definitely consider. Because I'm telling you, you're coming as one and you're leaving as one. But you're coming to this world as one and you're leaving this world as one. When I say you're coming as one, I'm thinking the entire community, the ummah is coming as one. The ummah is leaving as one. And within that ummah, we're coming alone, we're leaving alone. And we can help as many people as we can. Now don't think, oh man, I can't help nobody. Look at my condition in religiosity. I'm not even that pious, I'm not that practicing, I can't help anyone. That guy can help someone, he can help someone, she can, I can. That's not my job. There's a hadith that comes and it says that every 100 years or so there will be someone who rejuvenates the ummah. Someone who brings the ummah back, makes the ummah strong. People usually ask, who is this person? Who is this person going to be? Right? And the problem with that question is that they're not considering themselves as an answer. They're saying that someone else is going to do the job, not me. That's not my job. My job is to become an engineer. My job is to become an accountant. My job is to become an ITM. That's it. And pay for my wife and kids. I got enough things to worry about already. Consider Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What did he have to consider? How did he have that mindset? Now it's okay. We can all point fingers and say, that's not my thing, that's not my thing. But the thing is, when we go through that syllabus that I mentioned earlier, and you look at that percentage of how everything is set apart, you have prayer there, you have purity there, right? Prayer, purity, all of these things, fasting, zakat, right? Hajj, all of these things. We know of these things. But then you have more that we've never really uncovered. You have a lot more we never even considered, right? Thinking about prayer, let's say. We know those 5 pillars, right? Real quick, having faith, going to Hajj, fasting, praying, and giving zakat, right? We know these things. How do you do these things? That's a question. That's like saying you open the book, you open the index, and you read the title of every chapter. So now you know it. You don't. You gotta look, and every part has an introduction, every part has an entire synthesis of what it really is, and then you understand what that is. So all we did was pray. Chapter 1, I got it. No, there's way more to it. How do you pray? What time should you pray? How cognizant should you be of your timing? How should you have concentration in prayer? How often should you pray? Can you pray more than what you're already doing? Can you go above the 5 times of prayer? right? What is that? What's optional? What can get you more rewards? That's what we have to consider. That's praying. Okay? Zakat, we have to understand how zakat works. We get 2.5%. 2.5% of what? Of what? Of your salary? So if you make 100K, then you give 2.5% of 100K. Is that how it works? No. That's not how it works. And we'll cover that inshallah. So you have to, sometimes people give zakat incorrect amount. Sometimes they give more than they're supposed to, and then you tell them about it, and they're like, oh man, I should have learned it. But we'll learn it and we'll give. The rest is sadaqah, which is better. Give the same amount, but say, you know what? I'm going to give this as zakat, this is sadaqah. Allah's going to love that. Because you're going above and beyond. You're doing extra. Because the zakat and the sadaqah, which is charity. Right? Hajj. Okay, what is your approach towards Hajj? You know, okay, if I can't afford it, then I don't do it. Okay, I'm good. I can't really afford it, I'm kind of broke. There's an approach towards Hajj. You make an intention towards Hajj. You know how a lot of kids, like when we're growing up, we're thinking about, I'm going to get a car. Because I got to go to college, or I got to do this. I got to go to a job. I need a car. So what do? You end up saving for that car you need. People, they start working part-time jobs in the summer, whatever it is, and they save up money over time. My cousin in England, he recently got a car. He saved up money to get a car, actually. That's what he's been doing this summer. He's been working, saving his money for a car. He set his goal, and now he's about to get it. For us, we have to come the same way with Hajj. Do we actually make intention that I wanna go to Hajj? Or, well, I learned about Hajj, and I know I'm supposed to go if I can. I'll just delay it till the end, and then I'll go. I'll be good. Like, is that the right mindset about Hajj? We have to cover that as well. So when we go through this entire syllabus and we unravel it and we go by section, we see the percentages, we see what weighs more, we see how important salah is. That the fact that salah will be the first question asked on the day of judgment. That's the first question asked. And the day of judgment they'll go one by one question. Well, guess what happens if you can't answer the first question? You don't go to the second one. How do you go to the second question? You got to answer the first question. What excuse are we going to give when Allah SWT says, why did you miss this Isha Salah? You're going to say, well, I own a soccer league and we were playing and I got tired, I didn't pray or whatever. I thought I was going to pray after I went home and I fell asleep because I was tired. I wasn't doing anything wrong. I wasn't doing anything haram, right? I wasn't drinking, I wasn't partying. I was playing soccer with my friends for an Islamic league. I was just tired. Is that an excuse that we can give to Allah SWT? We have to see that. What excuse can we give Allah SWT for salah? Other than if you're if you are completely ill, if you're a vegetable, let's say, that's different. No, seriously, if you are a vegetable, like the mindset of vegetable, health-wise. So we have to think about that. What excuse can we give? And every day, think about these few things. As I'm going to conclude in a few minutes. Think about these few things. That, man, who is this man, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that loves me so much? And if he loved me so much, what can I do to love him back? How can I show my love back towards him? Right? And then think about this. What excuse can I give Allah for missing this today? What excuse am I going to give Allah for doing this or not doing this? Right? What excuse am I going to give Allah for raising my voice at this person? What excuse am I going to give him? That you didn't give me enough sabr, Allah? We're going to point the finger at Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? When He gave us free will? To a certain extent. Are we going to be able to do that? Can we do that? I don't know. We have to consider these things. The man that we love, that we do love, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that everything he did was not but revelation. What does that mean? In the Quran, it says that every action of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that he did was nothing but revelation. Now what does that mean? An action is nothing but a revelation. How do we understand that ayah? What it means is that everything that he did, meaning he said, this is okay to do, this is not okay to do. I'm going to be doing this. I'm going to be praying right now. It came straight from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Do we get that? So what does that mean? That means everything that he did, if we were to follow it, we would be doing things that came straight from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That shows how perfect he was. Because if you're doing everything that came from Allah, what are you doing wrong? Think about it. And another thing to just talk about the love of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam real quick. Because it's really important, because you can't talk about deen. You can't talk about knowledge and ilm and all these information and like, oh my God, I'm going to learn this and I'm going to become an alim. You can't do any of that until you get to know the man who taught the religion to us. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Until you understand who he was, What he is to us, we can't understand. This is not even a proper introduction, but this is what I can do at the moment with the given time. So we have to keep this in mind. Imagine we were all a group of men around the Prophet, peace be upon him, back in that time, right? And we're around him. I want to ask you this question. Right now we have books of hadith, right? Hadith means narrations, right? We have stories that tell us what he used to do. What is sunnah, meaning what is a tradition of his that we want to follow. Did they have a book back then? Did they have Sahih Bukhari in front of their faces? Did they have an app on their phone that gave you a hadith a day from Adhan Troll? None of that. What did they do? What did they consider? If we were among those men, and I wish we were, but we can't be. But if we were, we would have done everything we saw him do. Consider this, the Sahaba. Consider how we think about Sunnah. Consider how they're thinking about Sunnah. We consider Sunnah in terms of hadith that we get, and we do it when we can. These Sahaba, the companions, they saw Rasulullah ﷺ do something, and they wanted to do it. They saw him, they're like, that's the key to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that's the key to Jannah for those, I want to do it. They didn't think twice. They just did it. They didn't look up. I'm not saying, please look at your references and look at your sources and make sure everything is authentic. You don't want to do innovation, you don't want to do something that's haram. That's not my point. My point is the love, to show the love they had for him, is to emphasize the love they had for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. To show that that's how much in love they were with him, to show, because they love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is the direct link to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for us. So if you want to learn ilm, where does ilm come from? It comes from the man who taught ilm to everybody, who taught to the companions, who taught to the rest of us, and now it's here. Right in our hand. Right? It's right here at 6 o'clock at night sometimes. In this building with the rest of the brothers that you're with. Sometimes we might miss these days. It's okay to miss it. It's okay. Right? But it's our loss that we miss out on. It's our lack of knowledge we miss out on. Right? So for us, how much do we want to take advantage of it? It's up to you. It's up to you. You'll get your mu'mineen points. I don't know how. I don't keep track of that. That's not my job. But I'm here to present to you whatever I can, and you take whatever you can. You take what is good and leave behind what's bad. If I do something wrong, let me know and I'll apologize and I'll fix it. But you take what is good. Take what is good and work on that. Work on your love towards Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Think about how the Sahaba used to love him and try to love him the same way. Question yourself, why do I do this? Why don't I do this? How can I be more like him? How can I pray more like him? How can I be as generous as him? And the last thing I want to say before I conclude, and this is something completely off topic, but the word generous, I said the word generous, so I have to say this. This came to my head. Sometimes we become so stingy as a community, as a Muslim community. This is off topic, by the way. But sometimes we become so stingy as a Muslim community. When it comes to fundraisers, when it comes to donations, when it comes to events to help sponsor, we become very, very, very stingy. There's a hadith that goes, Al-yadul ulya khayrun min al-yadi sufla, which means the giving hand is greater or better than the receiving hand. And this hadith, I said, do you see how short that hadith was? You see how it was one sentence, right? The giving hand is better than the receiving hand. It's like one small sentence. My teacher discussed that hadith for 45 minutes. And that wasn't even the end of it. He was giving his quick synopsis of what he thought about the hadith to us. And ideally, I'll break it down into a mere seconds, that 45 minutes. Ideally, what that means is that we should always try to give. We should never try to receive. But we should try to give more than we're trying to receive. By that understanding, right? Before the masjid is supposed to ask us, we're going to go ahead and give to the masjid. You guys see how that works? Before the beggar asks us, we're going to go find that beggar and give to him. There used to be men who used to leave the country that they were in because the country was full of rich men and they wanted to give zakat and sadaqah. So they would leave the entire area to go find someone who's poor and give them money. That's how much they cared about giving sadaqah. They used to go out of their way, right? We can't even stop at a corner to give someone money. I'm sure we have many reasons as to they're going to use it for drugs, whatever. But sometimes just think about it in terms of purifying yourself. Like, I have all this money that's not mine, let me give it to you. Because every money you gave, every cent you gave to charity was not yours. If it was already given, meaning you gave it, it's in the past, meaning anything before this moment that you gave, it was not meant for you. It was not written for you, it was written for whoever you gave it to or whatever you gave it to. And I want you to consider this as well. Everyone sitting here right now, are we okay right now? In terms of, if I were to say, can everyone in here buy me a cup of coffee? I feel like we'd all say, okay, we can. Right? If we're all okay right now, think about any time, if you had any time, any moment of hesitation you had once towards giving money and you hesitated, but then you decided to go ahead and do it anyway. It didn't hurt you right now. You're okay. You're still okay. So next time you hesitate, think about this moment and say, you know what? I'll be okay. Because Islamically, the more you give, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you more. And that works in a whole different way. But I just wanted to mention that because I feel like, and we will be, I'm telling you, we will be going off topic many times in this class. Because I want us to approach practical things that we sometimes do not think about in Islam. And I want us to be more frank and more open and more understanding of one another. And with that bond, learn more and learn how to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if I ever say anything wrong, please feel free to correct me. Do you guys have any questions? If not, I'll conclude with the dua, inshallah. Subhanaka Allahumma hamdik nashhadu wa la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Jazakallah khair. Shafi'i, do you have any announcements? Or? Sure.
So, some other brothers, they came later. So, you mentioned about precondition for shower or ghusl, right?
Yes.
Can you mention that again? And what's the impact if people are not doing that?
Okay, sure. So, there's 3 things you need to do in Islamic ghusl. Number 1, water needs to go all throughout your body. Meaning, make sure water reaches everywhere. And it has to be flowing water. Meaning, if you jump in for a bath, it's not going to count. Okay? If you jump in for a bath, it's not going to count. Because what ends up happening is, the term called ma'al musta'mal, which means used water. What you're doing is you're using used water to purify yourself. You can't do that. Once the water reaches your body, right? Like if I were to have a bucket, and I had water, and I poured water on myself, right? And the water went back in, the same water went back in the bucket. And I used it to clean this part, it doesn't count. So you have to have flowing water. And I'm pretty sure we all have showers at our house, so we'll be fine. Inshallah, if not, let me know. We'll talk about buckets and how we can go about that. I'm serious, because back home you have to know how to do this. Because back home they don't have showers. What do you do if you're in the village back home? You got to know these things, right? So you can't use used water. That's one thing. So flowing water all throughout your body. Number 2, make sure you rinse out your nose. Make sure you rinse out your nose. And I think that the way my teacher taught me was basically to say that when you just put the water and kind of tilt your nose a little bit backwards to let the water go towards the middle of your nose, you'll feel a little bit of sting, but it's okay. And then just let the water out. Just rinse out your nose. And last thing, gargle. Gargle. Put water in your mouth and rinse it out. Right? Those 3 things. Consider doing those 3 things and you're pure. Did I say soap anywhere? I would recommend you use soap, but you don't have to, right? This is important too. You might think, oh man, I don't have soap on me. Because if you, once again, people go back home. People go to Bangladesh, India, Pakistan, wherever they go. Bosnia, I don't know how the conditions are over there. So I'm not going to comment on it. But you have to know. You have to know these things so you can be ready. And if you're not pure, then you are not fulfilling a prerequisite of prayer. Essentially, your prayer is not being counted. Essentially, that's what it is. Islamic Sharia law, it's not being counted. So if you want your prayers to count, you're taking the time out to pray, just go to the bathroom, take a quick shower. Takes less than 2 minutes. I timed it one day. I wanted to see how fast I could do an Islamic ghusl. I'm like, how easy is this? How easy is deen? Within 2 minutes I was done. Right? And also this is the same ghusl they talk about in the hadith when they say before Jumu'ah, you know how they say make sure you do ghusl? This is that ghusl they're talking about. This shower specifically. Not you hop in the shower and then come out. What I just explained, that's the shower. So if you want to do sunnah on Friday or before you go to Jumu'ah prayer, do this shower as one of the things before you go to Salah. And do you have any other questions? Okay, Jazakallah khair. If there's anything else, then we can conclude inshallah. Jazakallah khair. Inshallah, see you guys next week. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.